And greetings from LA once again. So let me now share with you a quick bonus here, a bonus video or bonus section here. I'm not good with my rankings of films in terms of my favorites because my mind changes constantly and it's difficult to pin my opinions down because, again, if you ask me this question tomorrow, my list might differ. But I've tried to list the 5 films here in order of, say, my favorites. So from number 5 to number 1. Not to say that number 5 is, in my estimation, a bad film per se, but if I had to order them or rank them in order of my favorites, if you're interested, here's how I would rank these films. Again, my own personal ranking. Your ranking might differ, so if you are interested, if you want to share with me your own personal ranking, please let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to hear about it. But again, you're here, so if you're interested, my dear friends, here is my ranking of favorites. My favorites in the my list in order of from number 5, my 5th favorite to my first number 1 favorite in this set. So number 5 is Decision at Sundown. And I think Decision at Sundown is, again, it's at number 5, and I don't want to suggest it's, in my estimation, a bad film. I think it's very entertaining, very clever, and it has, I think, a good plot and sensibility about it. I think when it comes to maybe the other films when we get to, I just feel like the other films, I had to put them higher because they, to me, feel like they cling together more. They're just, they're set in their trajectory, I think, more comfortably, if maybe for lack of a better expression. But again, not to take away from, I think, the entertainment value and the type of, say, showdown tension aesthetic that I think is on display. I think very brilliantly in a film with Decision at Sundown. So that's my number 5. And my number 4 favorite in the set is Buchanan Rides Alone. Number 4, Buchanan Rides Alone. Again, I don't want to suggest that it's a bad film in any way. I think it's a really great film. I love the relative speaking, the type of levity and bounce of step, for lack of a better phrase, that we see the character here of Buchanan as portrayed by Randall Scott. It's a nice contrast to a lot of the characterizations we see in his other films. So that, I think, makes this film stand out, I think, very profoundly and very fun time, while dealing with the sort of the RANOWN Western aesthetic of, say, dealing with a whole cast of quote-unquote villains that have their own agendas, that are also maybe ambiguous, morally speaking, that also add to the sense of web of intrigue and maybe political corruption and the like, where our hero, the protagonist, comes in and tries to, in a sense, save the day, in a manner of speaking. So again, I like the trajectory and sensibilities about this, but again, I had to put this film somewhere, and so for my purposes here, it's at number 4. But that brings us to number 3 here, my number 3rd favorite film in this set, and that is Comanche Station. So Comanche Station is number 3 for me. Again, I think it has this great interweaving of various plot points, but it also has a sense of trajectory. And I think the tension in the air when we have our quote-unquote protagonists and quote-unquote antagonists, and the showdown that may or may not happen. That's one of the great things about the better westerns here, is that things may go as we might come to expect in the context of western like this, or it may go in a completely different direction, or we might be surprised at how much it goes in the way we originally expected, that kind of thing. So it brings us in this wonderful, fun, circuitous way in which we are dealing with our own expectations. I think this film is a great example of that. So number 3 for me, Comanche Station. That brings me to number 2, my 2nd favorite in the set. And this is a really tough call for me between my 2nd favorite and my 1st favorite. But if I had to pick today based on my own feelings today, it would be The Tall T. I love this film so much. I think The Tall T is splendid. It was the first film I saw when I first got into the world of Bud Boetticher and Randall Scott, and it grabbed me, captivated. It was so captivating from the get-go. I love the depictions of the relationship between the quote-unquote protagonist and quote-unquote antagonist, the menace and threat that is always in the air. which is very disturbing and dangerous, and the way in which I think all the points seem to come together and converge in this way that is very high tension, very dramatic. The pasts are dealt with in a way that I think is very robust and very, very down to earth. I love the little details of Randolph Scott's own protagonist. There are ways in which we see the quiet moments, or almost the moments that we wouldn't necessarily expect, considering that he is the quote-unquote hero of the work. So I do love those moments. And again, it's an incredibly tense film, very suspenseful, very entertaining. The Tall Tea, my second favorite of the set. Which brings me to my number one favorite here. And again, this is based on my own feelings today, but this is undoubtedly this is an epic work, which is Ride Lonesome. Ride Lonesome, what a film this is. This is epic, this is deep, this is so clever in its economy in terms of how it's filmed and how it's shot. The quote-unquote heroes and the quote-unquote villains, and the motivations of our protagonist, and how that is manifest in some of the really vivid and quite startling imagery that we have here, while also being this jam-packed Western. It's a chase film in a manner of speaking. It's also a pursuit film. It's also a showdown film that may or may not happen. All these ingredients and then some are here in this this wonderful, magnificent, epic package that is Ride Lonesome. So I am a huge fan of this. I think it is morally complex. It's dark in a lot of places, and it leaves one wondering and questioning, which I think is a hallmark of a brilliant, morally ambiguous tale. Done so well, sharp dialogue, great characterizations all around. This has to be my number one favorite in the set, if you ask me today, which is the film Ride Lonesome. So, my dear friends, sorry for this indulgence of mine. I hope you can forgive me. But that's how I feel about the films in this set. Again, my list may change depending on the time of day that you ask me, depending on my mood, depending on my own outlook, etc. But as of now, if you're interested, that's how I look at these films. Again, not to take anything away from number 5, number 4, number 3. They are, I think, really wonderful. But again, I had to put them somewhere. And at the end of the day, that's what I did here. So, but if you want to share with me your own lists, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about it, my dear friends. Of course, it's a fun exercise, and I know it's sometimes very difficult, and maybe our minds can change, and we might differ in our terms of our opinions. But at the end of the day, it's very fun, I think, and so. If you are willing to share with me how you feel about that, I'd love to hear about it anytime, my dear friends. So, all right, so that was one last dip in the pool, as it were. That's one last visit to this Criterion set, the RANOWN Westerns. But anyway, thank you very much for all of your time and energy, and for taking the time to stop by this channel and watch these videos and others. I really appreciate it. Really, I do. Your time is precious, I know. So the fact that you spend some of your precious time here, I am very, very grateful, my dear friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So until the next video, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.